Hello, I'm Blair Lede from Fox 2 News. Welcome to the 2021 Mardi Gras Cajun Cook-Off. Now, this year is different from any other, as we know, but it's giving us the opportunity to give you a behind-the-scenes look into the minds of 3 of St. Louis's most premier chefs. Now, they're all getting the same secret ingredient and walking us through their unique way of using it. Plus, we're taking you step by step through how to make your own Cajun dish to celebrate along with us from the comfort of your own home. Bon appetit.
Hey folks, like you, I wish we were all at Soulard Market Park for the Cajun Cook-Off like every other year. But this year, thanks to COVID, we're at the barrage and you're in your kitchen at home, which isn't so bad, because we've got Johnny Daus, formerly of Johnny's, who's gonna show us how to make his world famous red beans and rice, a legendary Soulard dish. While this weekend's event is virtual, next weekend's event, the scavenger hunt, is a live and in-person event. Make sure you get your social bubble together and get your car entered by visiting stlmardigras.org. Making red beans and rice is not the only thing we're gonna do. There's 3 renowned St. Louis chefs who are gonna take a secret ingredient and show you what goes through their mind to turn that ingredient into something special. The ingredient's in here. I'll show you that later. But for now, I'm a little thirsty. Hey Niels, can you whip me up something special?
Hey guys, this is Jason, your Mardi Gras mixologist, ready to make the Soco sour for you. First, we're gonna start with the most important part, the Soco. We're gonna start out with 2 ounces. And then we're gonna do a fresh lemon juice, about ½ an ounce. And then a ¼ ounce of simple syrup. There we go. And then the most important part for the Soco sour, just like a whiskey sour, a little fresh egg white, about a ¼ ounce. Fresh ice in the tin, we're gonna shake till frosty. That's about right. Strain over fresh ice with lemon garnish. Wait a little bit, that'll separate nice. And there you have your Soco sour.
For a chance to win a meal for 10 prepared by one of the secret ingredient chefs, visit stlmardigras.org and purchase one of the few remaining Cajun Cook-Off kits. Those will be available for sale after today's broadcast. For those of you who've already purchased the kit, you know that it's a heck of a value to begin with. It's like to have your own Cajun Cook-Off in your kitchen anytime. It comes complete. But, as I said, it's also a raffle ticket where 3 lucky winners will win one of these chefs preparing a meal to be delivered to their home at a mutually agreed upon date for 10 people. Visit stlmardigras.org after today's broadcast and purchase one of the few remaining Cajun Cook-Off at Home kits for your chance to win. All right, folks, it's that time. We're gonna learn how to make the legendary red beans and rice from a Soulard legend himself, my good friend, Johnny Daus, better known by me as JD. JD, tell me a little bit, red beans and rice, how did it come to be, and how did it come to be Johnny's famous recipe?
Well, Tim, as you know, everybody loves a nice hearty meal. They had their ham and their ham hocks and their ham bones and their sausage. They'd have their Sunday meal. Well, the next day, they decided to take their leftovers. They simmered some beans on the stove all day, and then they would throw all their ham and sausage and vegetables, and they'd throw it in the pot and let it simmer and get thick, and they added rice to it, which we all know, especially in these times, they stretched the dollar back then like we're trying to do now.
Makes a lot of sense.
So they made their Monday supper was leftovers from the weekend, and that's how the red beans and rice dish started. So we started a red beans and rice tradition in Soulard, and on the taste weekend, that was our taste of Soulard was our red beans. You know, you kind of started out like your grandma used to with the bacon fat on the back of the stove and throwing in there, but now we're just gonna render bacon, throw it in the pot, add our vegetables, add our meat, add our spices, and you'll have your red beans and rice.
Well, I see you got some more bacon to chop. So Johnny, you guys do the bacon and all that first. By the way, if you haven't already, now's the time when you want to start, all right? While he's chopping, heat your pot. Make sure it's nice and hot so that when you put the bacon in, it's gonna sizzle and render the fat like he said.
Throw the bacon in and start getting that bacon grease going.
I can tell you right now, this is not enough bacon.
Well, everybody loves bacon, so we probably need to add more.
Well, you know what? That's good because I'll get some chopping on my own.
There you go.
And I got some bacon to throw in. Now, should I stir this a little?
So you get it stirred and you let it sit for a little while and get that grease going before we add our vegetables. And you don't need butter, you don't need any kind of oils. You just let the bacon fat do its work.
All right.
When you make a recipe, you want to make it with the right ingredients, but you make it with it's always your recipe.
Right.
You know what a lot of people don't realize that's an ingredient in recipes is love.
Right.
If you love it and you work it, it'll be your recipe. You're following my recipe, but when you make it, it'll be your recipe if you treat it as such.
So while this is going, should I throw some celery and that in there?
I would throw the celery and onion in.
All right.
And then after we do that, we're going to add some garlic because the garlic adds a tremendous amount of flavor. So you chop your celery and your onions up. You let your bacon get working. We'll add some more onion there.
You should not have this much onion at home either.
Add the garlic. The garlic's always a key ingredient. You can do fresh garlic, you can do minced garlic, you can do garlic paste. So now what we do now is we kind of let this simmer. You put the lid on. Go check on the kids. My suggestion is go have a cocktail and let it simmer for about 10 to 12 minutes. All right, Timmy, let's put the lid on. Let's let that get rendered, and the onion should be translucent, and everything should be nice and soft and ready to go for the next ingredient.
Probably take us about 10 minutes, right?
Correct.
While that's doing that and doing its thing, let's go find out what the secret ingredient is that the three chefs are going to be making. And it is lamb shanks. Let's throw it over to our hosts, Kevin Nashin, James Beard Award winner and owner of Sydney Street Cafe and Peacemaker, and his good friend, Harry Parker of Gulf Shores Cafe.
I'm Kevin Nashin. I've had Sydney Street for 17 years, going on 18. I love St. Louis, and I love cooking. I'm grateful that we're able to continue on our 18th year in the midst of all this craziness, and it's good to have good people like this gentleman next to me, even though we're a few years apart, so he tells me.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Harry Parker. I own Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill. I've had no formal training in food, but I've had a lot of training in people. I've lived all over the world. What's good about this today is that I think that to focus on something that can bring us together, like food, it's a great time to do that.
Here, here. It doesn't matter if you're a trained chef or a chef. Everyone loves to make people happy, and we just do it through food and service.
Listen, first off, we're going to have Mike Johnson. Mike is Sugar Fire, and everybody knows Sugar Fire, how well they do it and so forth. And he's going to do his take on the secret ingredient. But if it's anything like Sugar Fire restaurants, it's going to be good.
Mike Johnson from Sugar Fire Smokehouse. My main goal is really to treat whatever dishes with respect and use good technique and good ingredients and don't take any shortcuts and really just make it taste good at the end of the day. The techniques I prefer are like the old school disciplines, like smoking. French technique obviously is I'm a big fan of. Old school barbecue is a discipline. It's not even really a cooking technique. It's like, controlling fire, and just like all cooking is really just controlling fire and heating stuff up. Emerald, actually, I worked for Emerald. I opened his first restaurant. And he always had a saying, feed the poor, get rich, feed the rich, get poor. I never listened to it. I was like, oh yeah, I want to open it. And I was always trying to open fine dining restaurants, and I just kept getting poorer and poorer. But barbecue is just great to me. I've made a million friends I never thought I would meet, and met a lot of cool people. And like bands come to town, what do you think they want? They want barbecue. I love seeing people be successful in the restaurant business, and it hurts me when they're not doing good. Even if it's somebody that I would never go to the restaurant, I just want to see everybody do good, you know, and I just like the camaraderie. Okay, so today I'm gonna make a classic braised lamb shank. We got some shanks, a pretty easy cut of lamb to cook. It's got a lot of leeway. You can, you know, overcook it a little bit, but I think braising is the best way to do it. And so I'm just gonna kind of caramelize it all the way around. And put in some braising liquid and then let it rip. What do you guys think?
Yum. Chef, why braise it?
There's not a lot of fat on here. You know, I mean, almost like no fat compared to, imagine that if that was a beef shank. And I'm in the smoking business, and it's really hard to smoke stuff like goat or like lamb that doesn't have any fat on it. And I think the key is to just kind of like sear it off hot, get a good color on it, add your whatever. I love parsnips and I love carrots, so I'm gonna kind of add some of those. It's gonna be like my mirepoix. Put some liquid in, some red wine, and we'll deglaze it with that, and then hit it with some stock. When I'm cooking lamb, I usually do half beef and half chicken. The first step is I'm gonna season this. So I got some salt and pepper on there, and then I just hit it with a little curry powder. I just have this thing where I always put a little curry, even no matter what kind of, if I'm doing French or Italian or whatever kind of lamb, I just love lamb and curry.
I love it.
I like the curry.
Curry and lamb is almost like it's a no-brainer. It's awesome. Yum.
I'm gonna turn, I have a braising pot here. Get that going pretty hot. I'm just gonna put a light coat of flour on there, and that's gonna do two things. It's gonna help it brown up nicer. And then also, when we're braising that, that's gonna help with the thickening a little bit. And you can put on there as much as you want, because I'm gonna shake it all off anyway.
It's so important to just pat it off, the excess flour, because you get globs of it, and it just burns.
And then you can use whatever kind of oil you want. You can use coconut oil. I just brought some olive oil with me today. You can use vegetable oil, whatever you want. And then I'm just gonna pop it in, try and brown this up as much as I can all the way around. You guys cook a lot of lamb? I know, Kevin, I know you do. Yeah, I do too. Because I'm kind of more in the fast casual. I don't do a lot of fancy food anymore. But lamb is one thing I do cook a lot of. And I'm lucky enough, I work in Australia 3-4 times a year. And lamb is like the beef down there. They eat more lamb than, lamb's like the most popular thing. So I do get to cook a lot of lamb. Now if I burn that behind me, it's your guys' fault too. And so I'm gonna cut these vegetables up. This is a parsnip. I love parsnips and rutabagas and turnips, all that kind of stuff.
What does that do to it, Chef? What is that, the parsnips and rutabaga? What is that? Does it lend a flavor, or does it just lend?
It's really just about like, instead of potato or something starchy, you know what I mean? And this is, I mean, you know, this is like the Trinity in Cajun cooking, but it's more like the French version of mirepoix.
Holy Trinity of braising, right?
Yep, but it's without the peppers. Yeah. This is onion, celery, carrot. We all spend a lot of time in New Orleans. You know, Trinity is onions, celery, peppers.
Can't make a roux without it. A good one anyway.
It's literally a coming together of so many different like cultures and everything else. It tells a story, and that's what food does. It tells a story.
Isn't that beautiful? It starts from some base ingredients, okay, like he was talking about the Holy Trinity, but then after you get those items in, I mean, the rest is like it's what you feel.
I'm just gonna kind of cook these down to they're a little bit translucent. I'm gonna deglaze it with some wine. Add some stock, put the lamb shank back in. I'm gonna put in a little bit of tomato sauce, maybe like a 1/4 cup. It's gonna help thicken it up, give it some flavor.
I see some bay leaves.
I love me a bay leaf, especially in Creole cuisine. And I'm always like, it'll say add 1 bay leaf, you'll see I always add, you know, several bay leaves, because I'm a bay leaf freak.
So you see all these similarities, all these different, you know, little nuances, and it's just bold flavors.
New Orleans dining is really a collaboration or fusion of all those different spices and cultures and so forth. Louisiana, you're going to get a little bit more of this, a little bit more heat.
So I'm not really coming up with anything new. I'm just really doing something that millions of people have done before. I'm just trying not to mess it up. Went to culinary school a long time ago. I worked in France for a couple years. And really this is just the French technique of braising that I think translates to all types of food. Cajun. Most cooking, I think, these days is based off of a French technique, I would say. And so this is probably something I probably learned when I was 17, and you still hold those techniques and principles true in almost all types of cooking. Except barbecue, which was invented by cavemen, which is totally different. Okay, so I got my liquid in the pot. I got it about halfway to 3/4 up the side of the meat. And I'm gonna bring it up to a boil, and I'm gonna turn it down, I'm gonna cover it, and then we're gonna throw it in the oven. 350 for 2 hours. Maybe check it every 20 minutes and see after an hour or so and see how tender it is, because we're really just cooking the tenderness right now.
If I've never cooked a lamb chicken before and I'm pulling it out, what am I looking for?
You're looking for the, okay, you can see this here. See this muscles coming up the bone right here. Probably it's gonna start around the top, it's gonna start pulling away. It's gonna start coming down like this. And I'm really just looking for tenderness. Maybe have a skewer, you can open it up and kind of, how's it feel?
I tell you what, Chef, it's smelling good, man. Listen.
Let's check it out. I think it might be ready, actually.
What do you think, Chef? What do you think?
I mean, the sauce looks a good consistency, I think. Oh yeah, that's tender. There you go. Nice. All right, that'll work.
Pulled away from the bone?
Yeah.
When I think about it, I look at a nice brown and so forth in it. Not burnt, but brown and done right and so forth. People are concerned about, well, is it done? Is it done? Is it done? It is. It's done and it looks good.
Just the natural caramelizations and the natural just aromatic kind of all going in, it reduces. You're simmering here and you're reducing the liquids and they're concentrating and the flavors concentrate.
Right.
You know, pieces that have collagen and stuff. It truly is. It's a great way to cook.
Normally, when you're cooking and you got to say to people, okay, guys, time to come eat. As I'm getting these smells and so forth, when this is even in the oven, you know, and when you sit this on the table, I don't think you got to tell anybody, hey, come and eat, guys. They'll go, wait a minute, what is that?
Yes.
And that to me is like very much what I think about like Cajun cooking too.
You just notice it finishes because of the acidity off that tomato, the curry. That brings it back to the first conversation we had when we were cooking this item.
The other thing we didn't mention too is my favorite is vegetables cooked with beef like, or with meat like this. Because you can see the kind of stickiness on there too.
Yeah.
In the kitchens, you know, fine dining, my favorite meals throughout the day was snacking on stocks and all the vegetables that came off that braising.
It's amazing that the flavor is into the meat all the way through, and you can just taste it. And the stickiness, like you talked about.
Cool.
It really looks good. Yeah.
She flies me away over the mountain, way up higher than I've ever been. She takes me down to the water, the river of love, yeah, I'm coming. She's an old-fashioned girl, little bit like mama, little bit like any girl in the middle of a new crazy world. She's an old-fashioned girl. Yeah, she is.
Damn, that lamb looked good. I want to check on this and see how this looks. Whew, looks amazing, JD.
Smelling good.
It is smelling good. I'll tell you what, it looks like the onions are translucent. There's a little liquid in the bottom. What do we do now?
Hey, Jason, let's add the chicken stock. That's
Right
good.
here?
Yeah, that's right there. Let's pour all that in. Add your
You
chicken
need me to
stock.
help or you got it?
I think I got it.
Mix it up
All right.
and
Now just dump it in.
just dump it in. There you go. There you go. Yeah,
We
work
can't put it back in the chicken. We can't? No.
You got to work the recipe, remember. Here's my suggestion for your meat. You can use smoked sausage, you can use Polish sausage, but my preference, and if you're in Louisiana, it's andouille sausage. It's got a spice, it's got a kick, and there's nothing better for red beans than your andouille sausage. So we're gonna get all this in the pot, and what we want to do is, like I said, with the ham bone, you can do a couple different things. You can get ham hocks from your butcher and you can throw ham hocks in there, or you can use a nice smoked ham, chop it up nice, and throw it in there. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start with some sausage.
Okay.
Niels, you
Got
just
Dump
put it in
all
there. I'll
that
do
in.
the stirring.
Just dump all of it.
Ready?
I'm ready, brother.
Dump it all in, it's all good.
Bam.
Let's do another. We never can have too much andouille.
No, you
so-
cannot.
Look at that. Look how it's starting to look. It's going to get nice and thick.
What do we got here?
Nice smoked ham.
smoked
There you
ham.
go. Smoked ham.
Look at that. Ham, juice, everything.
Now you got your bacon, your veggies, your andouille, and your ham. And that you're going to want to let simmer for about 5 minutes. And let's let it simmer, and then we will add more spices. And then here comes the beans after that. So let's let that simmer for about 5 minutes.
Put the lid on.
Put the lid on. Let it simmer.
This is pretty darn good,
like
brother.
that?
I like
You
it.
know what? I think you'd like that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a little sip here myself.
Yeah, hey.
What is
Alrighty.
this?
That is the grape smash, made with a little fresh tea. I figured you'd like that. Nice little effervescence.
Oh,
That
the
word again.
effervescence.
And I'm sure the folks at home would love to know how to make it. So why don't you step in my office? First, we're going to start out with 1.5 ounces of vodka. And for a change, the unsung hero of the cocktail world, the grape. Let's start with 5 grapes, and let's muddle that with your vodka. Make sure it's nice and pasty, because we're about to mix that with the rest of the cocktail. So we've got our vodka, then we're gonna add some lime juice, about 1/2 ounce. And then we're gonna also add in some agave syrup, about 3/4 ounces. Add some fresh ice. We're ready to shake. Shake till frosty. Here we go. We've got our glass with some fresh mulled grapes, fresh ice. Let's strain over the ice. And just for some added effect, we're gonna add some more effervescence. Let's not forget our Bud Light Lime. There it is, the grape smash. I'm sure this drink is gonna match up with our next dish. Kevin and Harry, what's going on?
How's it going? We're back here at First Bank, and we're so excited to have Jack MacMurray.
You know, Jack is a past cook-off champion, so you know he's going to
we're
bring.
in store for
he's
some
gonna,
fun
He's going to bring
food.
his best game, right?
I'm Jack MacMurray, and executive chef at Old Hickory Golf Club in St. Peters, Missouri. I'm definitely just blessed that I love what I do. It's my serenity to cook, and I can just not worry about anything else. You know, for me, cooking is feeding the souls of people. I've been doing this 31 years in this level, and my heart's racing. I'm excited to meet new people always, and then to share what I'm gifted in and I'm learning as well. So that's really the heart and soul of cooking to me, for sure. So lamb shank, I'm gonna just do classic seared and pressure cooker braised, and we're gonna do, as opposed to a traditional risotto, we're gonna do barley and toast that up. We're gonna make a blue crab etouffee, you know, and we're gonna just do a little fried vegetable garnish. Yeah, this will be about an hour preparation. We're gonna get our braising liquid for the shank going. So we'll bring out some of that flavor of the Trinity, which is the onions, carrots, celery. I put tomato paste in this sauce. That'll be another thickener. Cajun seasoning. And this spice rub I make has 13 ingredients, so salt and sugar are balanced out. Salt brings out the natural flavor, and if you use too much, it's terrible. So salt and pepper are your friends and enemies. Then we're gonna add about 6 cups of stock. And that's the trick with pressure cooking, is not to run out of liquid and burn it. Love using the pressure cooker. So many people don't or either scared or forget. I know growing up, my folks, my grandparents, they always cooked out of a pressure cooker. I'm gonna get somewhat of a brown on here. There's some caramelization. Caramelization, the browning of the natural sugars of the protein is
extremely important.
Chef, one of the things I noticed is that in your braising, some of the other chefs use a little bit of a flour coat.
For the pressure cooker, I'm not looking for thickening powers in this. The vegetables that get pressure cooked will be put through the strainer, and that'll be my thickening agent for the sauce. This right side here, we'll do equal parts of vegetable oil and flour. And this usually takes about 2 to 3 beers or about 40 minutes to make a dark roux. And we'll cook that barley, and you toast this up, and it gives a complex flavor to that grain. And then I will add some Trinity to that as well. Trinity will give, with soups and sauces, a layer of flavor, which is very important. We got a nice sear going here. So they're in there. We are locked. So when you're making a dark roux, you gotta watch it. Because once you burn it, it's ruined. So I'm always careful with my pressure cooker, just a medium-high heat. I don't crank it. I know it's cooking properly. We're gonna start to make some color change there. When you're making a dark roux, it really takes a good 20, 25 minutes to get to the changing point, and you really need to pay attention. And somebody put the timer on, right?
How important is it, if you're gonna do multiple meals or multiple dishes, that you use a timer?
We're human. We're not perfect. There's no way. You know, you're not Kramer from Seinfeld and, you know, remember it.
My mom, early on, she would put stuff on the cutting board. So she had pine nuts in the oven, she put a pile of pine nuts. And it was little reminders.
I never heard that. That's awesome. I like that. You know, each county or parish in Louisiana, say, has their best roux that grandma makes.
How did your mom make roux?
She would make the roux before she added the vegetables in. Okay. Then she would also say, be careful. Don't let it burn. Don't let it burn. Don't let it burn. Low heat, constant stirring, and you couldn't rush it.
Okay, so now I'm going to work on a trinity for the etouffee. So the word etouffee means to smother. Etouffee is a great vehicle for any protein. And it can be vegetarian. I've done that.
When I lived in New Orleans, when I treat myself, I always got griots smothered with crawfish etouffee.
Cajun food is spice, floral, and flavor. And it should grow. There's some good hot sauces to finish with.
That's why it's at the table.
Yeah.
You want it hotter, you be you.
Now customers come in. Notice it's what we call a back end burn. You know, it starts here, and the back end of it, goes up.
That's coming along beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
It tells a story, right? Here, beginning stages, this is your blonde roux, early blonde roux. That's actually the strongest thickening power right here. And then as you start to go, more flavor is basically created, right? Here would be good for like a French onion soup. Here now you're starting to get into your braises and your gumbos. He's on a great path. You're looking for, there's no speckles in there. It's really translucent and it's got a sheen.
All right, so we're getting close here. This will be fairly quickly when we add the garlic real quick, then the Trinity, then we'll add stock. Give a whiff of that. You gotta get right in front of this, whiff it right in front of you.
Watch your eyeball. The roux, I wish you guys could smell it. It is so nutty. That right there it's on the verge of a great gumbo. That is just love.
The roux is the vehicle for the whole dish. So if I cook the vegetables in that roux, these vegetables go throughout the flavor.
It infuses it, right?
Correct. All right. Can you tell I'm excited?
I'm working hard for this, Jim.
So I want to go 3 or 4 minutes, concentrate that Trinity flavor. Worcestershire. I like that enough spice where you can't tell that Tabasco's in it. Okay?
Mama did use Tabasco, okay? So in our recipe for it, we also use Tabasco, and it was before, maybe just a hint of it.
Yeah. So I have these fresh herbs to go in at the end. So those will help cleanse the palate when you're eating the dish. Trick to mince up some parsley, take it all into a little quick short ball there, and just shave it really slowly. I'm French trained, and we would get rid of the green part of the onion. To me, that's the sharp flavor, and this is the sweetest part, and is the white part. So I use both.
There's something about the flavors and the smells and so forth that you don't have to say, come and get it. When you put it out there, it says, "I'm here, come get me," okay?
We're getting close, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna pan fry the garnish with the red pepper rings and the green beans I blanched off. Yeah, this is a lemon seltzer, doesn't matter, but seltzer for your batter. Into the pan. Flash fry it real quick, okay? Can't go wrong with fried green beans. So really critical when you fry something, you season it right when it comes out of the fryer. So I want to be careful with the lamb shank. It's potentially could have fallen apart, but I want to get this out, bone in, and then take a look at this sauce, chefs. And you want to take a look at that, how it's reduced down.
It looks great. I can already see.
Wow, look at that.
So here we have this incredible chicken stock that turned into lamb veggie stock, and it's going to go through a double mesh strainer. And my nickname is JDW, Jack Don't Waste. So I get everything out of here, push this through. We're going to get ready to plate. We're going to need another hour to eat this. Oh man, okay.
He's bringing it all home now.
The depth of the knowledge, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to see.
Cajun food is personality food. You put yourself into it, and you take your food really serious,
Thank you. We have the Ramalama Creole lamb with a Cajun braised lamb shank, the crab etouffee, and the Trinity barley with some fried green beans and red bell pepper. Enjoy.
Good job, Chef.
Thanks, brother. Thank you.
Awesome.
Good job, Chef.
Woo!
He said we should get that beer sometime, and I just say okay. By the way, I am leaving. By the way, jump down off the front porch, throw my hands into the air. We're being Johnny and that Chevrolet, lose his ordinary way. Living, working, loving, dying. There's enough that I'm tired of it. By the way, I am leaving. By the way, by the way, I am leaving. By the way, by the way, I am leaving. By the way.
The dishes that these guys are doing at the First Bank Kitchen are blowing my mind. Like, this is creativity at its finest. But we have to keep our thing going. We've got the onions, we've got the meat in here. Johnny, what are we gonna do next?
Let's add some liquid smoke.
Ooh,
Let's take the lid off, Jason.
gotcha.
We'll add a little liquid smoke to it. Now, what I will tell you about liquid smoke is it's very, very strong. So whatever the recipe calls for, that's exactly what you want to do. You don't want to add any more unless you like smoky flavor, but it might overpower your recipe. Now we're going to add the hot sauce. That's more of a medium heat. Like I said, when you're cooking for the masses, myself personally, I like it hotter. So at home, once again, like I said, this is your recipe. If you like it hotter, you add more spice to it, but that's just a mild hot sauce. Now here's the other ingredient that'll add more flavor to any of your, if you're making soups, if you're making chili, we have bay leaves.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
The problem with bay leaves is it's got like a tea-like aroma, a little menthol, but it brings out all the flavors. You add them in to simmer, but once your product is done, once your recipe is done, you gotta get rid
them out of there.
Kidney beans are very flavorful, but they're a tough bean.
Okay.
So when you add kidney beans to your, whether it's a chili, whether it's a soup, whether it's a sauce, however you want to do it, you want to mash at least half of them.
Okay.
Because it breaks the skin, it gets all the aroma, all the flavor.
All that good flavor, yeah.
And it thickens up your dish too.
All right. Timbo, you ready?
I'm ready. You know, I've been mashing these things
You've
for
been
like
mashing
10 hours.
forever. How this forearm's doing?
Look at it. I'm like Popeye.
I'll get one side, you get the other? Yeah?
Got it.
Ready?
I'm ready,
Be
Niels.
careful, don't splash it up on you. You don't want to get burned.
Look at that.
You can see it thickening up already. You can see how when you mash them, it thickens them up.
That is one big pot of goodness here.
All your chopping, your dicing, everything's done. Okay, Jason, let's get that all mixed in. Let's get all those ingredients mixed in that we just added. And when we come back, you want in 5 to 8 minutes, you want that to simmer. When we come back, we'll add our spice mix.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is Jason, your Mardi Gras mixologist, ready with another classic cocktail, the Old Fashioned. So let's start out with sugar cube, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, and to make a nice little sugary paste, like a nice syrup, we're gonna do a little black cherry Bud Light seltzer. Grab your muddler. There we go. Add an orange peel. And the most important part, 2 ounces Ezra Brooks. Then we're gonna do a 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. And then let's add some fresh ice. And let's stir for some dilution. About 20 to 30 seconds would be perfect. Looks pretty good to me. Let's grab your strainer. Strain over some fresh ice in your cocktail glass. For my garnish, I always like to use fresh orange peel and a Luxardo cherry. Here is your Old Fashioned. Cheers. First, let's start out with some Terramana, about 1.5 ounces. Some lime juice, about 1/2 ounce. And then some orgeat syrup, about 3/4 ounce. Give some nice tropical flavor. Some fresh ice. Then let's shake. Strain over some fresh ice. About 3/4 full. And then we're gonna add our tropical Red Bull. Garnish with a lime wheel. There's your Red Bull Tropical Tequila.
Welcome back. We're at First Bank Kitchen, and next on the block is John Messbarger from Peacemaker Lobster and Crab. We're so excited to see what he brings with his Creole influence, and we're gonna have a good time today.
It'll be good.
I'm John Messbarger. I work at Peacemaker Lobster and Crab. These kind of things are really fun for chefs because it's our time to like really play. Something like this where you're just kind of cooking, I try and push myself. What can I do that's gonna put me a little bit out of my comfort level and just push myself to do something that I'm gonna have fun with? You just get that just joy and satisfaction, like I made this today and I'm very happy with what I made today. Today we're gonna do a dish that's kind of a little play on gumbo with lamb, the secret ingredient. So a base will be a red bean puree, followed by a gumbo bread pudding, a little crawfish tail egg salad. For the ingredient, the lamb shank, I am braising it. And I'm gonna finish it, I'm gonna blacken it in a cast iron. And then finish it off with a little sauce made from the lamb bones and crawfish body.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's outside the box.
Yeah.
It's John.
Cooking, particularly Cajun cooking, is a personality. So what we're learning, really, more or less now, is the personality of the chef.
So first thing, we're gonna take a little bit of the meat off of the shank here, kind of just clean it up, and then we're gonna tie it to keep everything nice and tight together. I'm sliding a rosemary sprig in there, especially when I am doing lamb cuts. I'm big on studding it with garlic. Just take a small knife, and then you just get it just enough to slide in a piece of garlic. I do that like 3 or 4 of them.
By having that stud in there, it basically starts to infuse that garlic flavor into it, extracts it.
And we're ready to braise it. For my technique today, I'm gonna be sous videing it. Have it cooked through to where it softens the meat and makes everything tender, but still has enough texture to where it's not gonna fall off the bone on me when I go to blacken it. We'll get our gumbo bread pudding going. And for that, I have a little bit of brioche that we use at the restaurant for our lobster rolls, which bread puddings, I mean, you can use any bread.
We use a brioche also, but for you, tell me why you like the.
So the richness of brioche, I think, lends itself to, especially this bread pudding, the gumbo bread pudding, because gumbo's kind of that rich, just hearty dish. Made a pretty standard custard, just whole eggs, cream, and gumbo. So we got a nice depth of flavor in just that gumbo broth. Mixing that with the custard then is going to give it just a hint of that little Cajun spice. And then what I'm going to do is just pour my custard into my brioche and just kind of work it together. I mean, the bread pudding you can make quick or you can make it long. It's nice like overnight, but you can also, you feel it and you know that this bread, it's taking on that custard real nice. Just going to kind of press everything into my pan here. So there'll be a little bit of the custard kind of extra to hold everything together. Then we just want to put it in a pan, let it bake up.
Gumbo, everyone thinks of just the soup and that kind of thing, whereas here it's a reiteration of something that's homey, it's bread pudding, and it kind of melds both together, so it's exciting.
Really no right or wrong combination. What you're really trying to do at the end of the day is trying to put foods together that you think will enhance the flavor of your main dish. You know, and that's fun. Again, it lends to your personality. Personality cooking is what it's all about.
We got these guys ready to go. We're just hitting the start of crawfish season. Give a little twist to get the tail out. We'll use the tails in our egg salad. And then for the stuffed head, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull off the legs. And then in the head, you have just a little bit of tamale. It's full of flavor. Some people may want to clean that. I say eat it. And then for what we're gonna stuff it with, we have a little bit of lamb andouille.
Oh, lamb andouille.
And then we're gonna mix that with a little bit of rice, a little bit of our red beans. And our red beans are cooking in a lamb crawfish broth. I do not soak beans. I like to cook them all the way in their in the cooking liquid. That way your liquid thickens up nicely.
Something that's been very traditional that really I haven't seen in a while is the egg with gumbo.
I haven't been to any culinary school. I came out of the culinary school from my mother's kitchen, and she's 90-something. But that's what she did. She would when she make her snapper soup, her turtle soup, she'd make her gumbo. She would boil an egg, okay, and then she would chop that egg and put it on top of it.
I believe that it's kind of more of a low country style is where they use the chopped eggs as opposed to like French Quarter, and it just lends that little extra element. At Peacemaker, where I knew we were going to do Cajun food, I really got into the history aspect and got old books that I could get my hands on, old ideas, and you get into the history of a dish. So I like to use caramelized onions in my egg salad. So I have some chopped up caramelized onions right here. Peeled crawfish tails, a good amount of those, just you don't want to skimp on crawfish tails. And then instead of mayonnaise today, we'll be using remoulade.
He actually used a remoulade sauce, which is a combination of spices, mayonnaise, pickle.
Putting a pretty significant amount of lemon zest, and I'm gonna put a little lemon juice in there as well. Acid in general is so important in cooking, and citrus is my favorite form of acid. It really helps open up the dishes and brings out all the nuances of flavor. It's very heated debate with me and some of my friends on beans where I like them to have that texture. And they'll be like, oh, you didn't cook your beans all the way. I'm like, no, I cooked.
But you taste the bean. A lot of times it's mushy and it could be anything.
And then for the puree, we'll throw definitely some of our cooking liquid in there. Cajun refined beans. Pan warmed to blacken our lamb, which I brought a cast iron for that because tradition and cast iron is my favorite way to cook anyway, so. All right, see how our lamb did. That broth's gonna have a lot of nice flavor. We'll reduce that just a little bit, thicken up our sauce.
Then you can see the garlic kind of coming out of where it was in those little holes.
With blackening, you want a nice fatty coat on the outside so your spices are really gonna stick. I'm big on high amount of chopped up herbs into a sauce, really just adds that extra element.
There's natural oils in all these leaves and stuff, and they extract it instantaneously. So you're gonna have that just beautiful, delicious first bite of like mint and sage on the tip of your tongue.
And I'm just gonna give them a rough chop. I don't wanna really fine chop them because I want when you get a bite, you're getting a kind of a larger piece of each herb. Nice color on that guy. All right, well that's in. I'm gonna go ahead and pop our bread pudding on, just to give it a little sear as well. Right in that same fat. That way it's got all the spices, everything will kind of come together. All right, we'll pull this guy out, let him just rest for a second.
It's definitely always fun to watch people make things effortlessly, and you know how difficult it truly is.
A level of creativity, and like I said, it comes from the base knowledge. You get the base knowledge, and then you know the world is your oyster then.
Here we go. We've got our blackened lamb shank, the highlight of the dish. On the bottom is our layer of the red bean puree, our gumbo bread pudding, our crawfish tail Cajun egg salad, and then of course our little stuffed crawfish head with andouille and the rice and the red beans. Finished off with a little bit of the tobacco okra, puffed Cajun rice, and our herbed lamb broth.
Awesome. Congrats.
Can fly and I hope you'll see there's nothing more that we need to say. So goodbye yesterday.
Man, what they have done at the First Bank Kitchen today with that lamb shank is absolutely amazing. I would have never thought you could do all that with lamb.
It looked tremendous.
It does,
Making me
doesn't
hungry
it?
just
Damn
think about
good.
it, right.
Which probably brings us to the next step, since you said you're
Absolutely.
hungry. I know I'm hungry. I bet they're hungry out there. What do we have to do with this thing?
All right, we're gonna put on our Soulard sours. And I'm gonna add my secret spice mix. This is the last step of the process. Look at that, boiling, looking great. We're just gonna add all these tasty spices, and there's 8 altogether in here.
That's like the Colonel's secret recipe.
Exactly. I have 8 secret spices. He's got 11, I believe.
I'll take that from you, brother, so you
Alrighty.
can do some stirring.
So you just gotta mix all this in. And then once you mix it all in, you're gonna let this simmer on low heat for about an hour. Because
oh my God, I smell it. It smells
Yeah.
awesome.
And then you'll be ready, once you make your rice at home, you'll be ready for family dinner. So once you get my secret spice mix all mixed in, there's one last step before we let it simmer.
What do you do?
We had a little magic.
All right.
We got a little Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, and that will finish this off. So you just sprinkle a little love over it,
That looks fantastic.
and then we mix that in, and then we let it simmer for about an hour. And then when your rice is finished, you have your red beans and rice, and my famous recipe will be in your kitchen. Once it's all done, this is your finished product. Your red beans and rice, Johnny's recipe from Soulard. It is awesome. It'll be one of the most tasty dishes you'll ever have. And Tim,
I was
would
just
like
saying,
you to-
actually, that's my finished product.
There you go. I would like Tim to try it. You always want to add some cornbread or some cornbread sop and biscuits to go with it to sop up the good flavor.
on a cold day.
Oh yeah,
Brother.
warms the belly.
That hits the spot. The sweet, the heat, it's all in there. This is awesome. You know what you need when you do this? A little of this.
Cheers to you.
That's a great Saturday afternoon right there. Well, that's it, folks. In about an hour or so, you and your family should be enjoying a great bowl of red beans and rice courtesy of Johnny, a famous Soulard legendary dish. A big thank you to Johnny for sharing his family's secret recipe. Also a big thank you to the guys at the First Bank Kitchen who did an awesome job with today's secret ingredient, lamb. To Chef Jack Mac, Chef Johnson, Chef John Messbarger, and Kevin Nash and Harry Parker for doing a great job hosting. Thank you guys. It looked fantastic. Not much else you can do on a Saturday afternoon, especially in January. We hope you had fun, but I'm going to tell you there is one more thing you can do. You can go out to stlmardigras.org right now and get one of the few remaining Cajun Cook-Off at home boxes. Remember, in addition to being a Cajun Cook-Off you could do any time that you want to do one in your kitchen, it's also a chance to win a Cajun meal from 10 prepared by one of those 3 great chefs in the First Bank Kitchen. So again, thank you for joining us. We hope you had as much fun as we did bringing it to you. I'm going to throw it over to my good buddy Johnny Henry. Johnny, take us out.
The world revolves around us in love. Is that so crazy? Can't we, baby, live like every kiss could be the last? When we used to laugh too loud and drive you down too fast. Oh yeah, let's get back to you and me. Like the way it used to be, the way it is.
Thank you for joining us for the Cajun Cook-Off. Be sure to join us for the Wiener Dog Derby, February 13th.